What's up, everybody? We're back. We're hunkering down. We're trying to deal with a little bit of technical glitches. That's on our end. That's not on your end. Hope everybody, glad you guys, if you're coming back into the show, glad you guys will be able to join us. We just finished up. If you're catching us on the podcast or you're catching us on YouTube, coming out of that great segment there with Ryan Lingotti. So many great Georgia Bulldogs off the current roster are going to be there. Great chance to meet some of those dogs that were behind the championship. Great chance to take a picture. But most importantly, hey, if you got a youngin that you want to see playing between the hedges one day, or see if there's a chance he'll play between the hedges one day, or just give him a good push, a good start, and to just enjoying the game of football and not those lofty goals of playing for a really powerful, very strong, a very impressive football team at one of the greatest universities in the country. It'd be a good time on Saturday, June 11th, Kennesaw Mountain High School. Let me see. Lamar Woodall, David Hudson, Damon Smith, Santee D. Arnold, Andra Starcher, Eric DeVorsnay. Thank you guys for coming back in. You guys still got some more show. We got a lot of meat on the bone left on this show. Going to show you some tweets. Going to show you some pics from the past weekend. We're going to talk about top targets, and we got a new little wrinkle here inside our top targets. Got some feedback. I thought, how can I give you guys a little bit more, maybe to have it kind of seem more clear about what's going on, maybe a little bit behind the scenes with Georgia's recruiting class. Lee Cook, man, thank you for joining us here again on going to be a not so tranquil Wednesday night here in Woodstock, Georgia. One of the things, let's get going right now. Of course, our show is brought to you by Kroger. Kroger has not only they have the morning boost, we'll have to catch that another time, the morning boost, the new Dog Nation morning boost. But right now, through the end of summer, gear up for grilling. Turn up the heat and the flavor with new favorites for every dish over the summer. Kroger's going to have you covered for all your outside entertaining needs. Visit your local Kroger today or Kroger.com/summer-grilling. Hey, I was in my local Kroger this morning. We had to drop the kid off on an errand. One of my kids off on an errand. He had to go to practice, and then we needed some eggs, we needed some protein bars, we needed some hand soap. We went in and out and got that thing knocked out really quick in our local neighborhood Woodstock Kroger. Hugh Nash, how are you? Henry Carter, Dana Turk, Nick Phillips, Joe Boswell. Hey guys, thanks for coming in. Normally we try to put on a really great professional broadcast. We try to give you guys a lot of bells and whistles, but sometimes those bells and whistles turn the tables on us a little bit. Hugh Nash is talking about the veranda. You guys want to know about top targets? We got something pretty cool for you guys right now. Let's take a look at an updated top targets board reflecting what's going on pre-official visit weekend, June number 2. Looking right there, number 15 is five-star offensive tackle Samson Okanola out of Thayer Academy in Brockton, Massachusetts. Number 14, probably the biggest official visitor of the weekend, at least the most impactful official visitor of the weekend, is Jonel Aguero out of St. John's Prep in Lynn, Massachusetts. As I said in our first part of our show tonight, he did some really cool things. He's going to make his decision on June the 23rd. That's coming very fast. Number 13, recent visitor Damon Wilson. Now, if you guys wanted to ask the question, how does Centel think that Georgia did with Damon Wilson? I've moved him into the top targets. He went from not even in, maybe way out there in left field, like one of those Ronald Acuna type blasts out to left field, and now he's quickly into the and onto the radar, maybe a little bit more on the radar for Georgia in its 2023 recruiting class. And folks, I'll be very frank. Of everyone Georgia is recruiting to play the edge position in this 2023 cycle, everyone, I like him just as good as anyone Georgia's possibly recruiting. You'll see another name, Samuel Mpemba, on there. You'll see another name, Quay Rusal, on there as well. Damon Wilson looks like the type of guy that's going to be a first-round NFL draft pick for somebody, somewhere, someday. Number 12, you want to talk about a guy that's kind of raised his stock in terms of potential of joining the Georgia class. TJ Shanahan Jr. certainly feels that way to me. Seems like a guy that really loves Georgia, really loves everything about Georgia. Very, very impressive offensive lineman. One of the things, I hope you guys read the Dog Nation story. If not, well, then here I am right now on a Wednesday night to kind of Cliff notes that one for you. That's the young man that does 2,000 jump ropes every night. at 6'5", 315 pounds. His father is about 6 feet 8 inches. He played center and long snap for Arizona a generation ago. Um, he is an extremely impressive offensive lineman. Love that story he told me about what he does before a game, praying for his team, praying for his teammates, praying for everybody to stay healthy and let the best team win. Also, routinely, and I put the film in the Dog Nation story on dognation.com. He said about 12 times per game, he's blocking his man 10 to 20 yards downfield. Folks, any school in the country could make a lot of first downs with an offensive lineman like that. Number 11 on the list, that's another guy that I thought had a very impactful official visit. That's Jalen Hale out of Longview, Texas. I think he looked around, he saw the potential of Arch Manning, Raymond Cottrell, guys like Justice Haynes, up and down all around. And I think that's a guy that could fit very well into the Georgia offense if he chooses to sign with Georgia. Number 10, Samuel Mpemba out of IMG Academy. He is a Chicago native, St. Louis native. Number 9 is Sadir Mitchell out of Bergen Catholics. I think Sadir's got a few more official visits he's wanting to take, but he's going to see a lot of the country in the month of June for sure. Tyler Williams, he's another guy that's in town this weekend on his official visit. He's out of Lakeland, Florida. Only been playing receiver for about a season and a half. Tyler Williams is a very impressive wide receiver. Tyler Williams just took his official visit to Clemson just this past weekend. Another guy, Hakeem Williams out of Stranahan in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Probably, arguably, perhaps, maybe without a lot of argument, the most talented wide receiver in this class. He's fallen a couple of notches on this list from our last one. Number 6 is James Smith out of Carver High School in Montgomery, Alabama. Number 4 is Quay Rusall. Those two guys, they will be a tandem deal, not a package deal. Tandem means those guys are going to go play together and they're of equal ability, where one guy is not being brought along to get the other guy. Tandem deal, not a package deal. One lucky school is going to get that. Really feels like Georgia or Alabama there for the longest time. Those guys will not make their decision until the early signing day in December. Justice Haynes, he wants to make his decision known before his senior season begins at Buford High School. You guys follow Georgia high school football and Georgia high school athletics. Buford is now a 7A school for this classification cycle. And Justice, who's averaged 163 yards per game for his high school career, if Buford plays its average 14.5, 15-game season, play for it all or win it all, Justice Haynes will finish with about 2,300 yards this year for Buford, and that will put him number 2 all-time in state of Georgia history for rushing. Pretty impressive seeing now how he lost about 4 games his sophomore season due to the pandemic. Number 3, Jamal Jarrett, another guy. If you wanted to say, Jeff, who's the other guy that you think might be the most important official visitor of this weekend, I would say Jamal Jarrett and Jonel Aguero would carry most of my field of vision, carry most of my thoughts there about the 2 most important. Number 2, it's that Arch Manning fella, really impressive player. Had a really stinking good time on his official visit to Athens, Georgia this past weekend. Thought it was really cool. Look what Georgia's doing there. I thought if I had to sit there and think about a guy that would have been a perfect person to host Arch Manning on his official visit, that was Oscar Delp. Oscar Delp was his kind of player host. A lot of these guys have player hosts. Micah Morris was the player host for TJ Shanahan on his visit. Up and down, let me see. I think AJ Harris had a really good official host as well. He talked to a lot of guys. I think his official player host was Kamari Lassiter, another good guy to talk to. But Oscar, supremely talented, level head, great communicator, funny guy, good to hang around, great personality. I think Georgia is really trying. Georgia couldn't have picked a better guy to be Arch's host. And actually, when Arch came into Athens on another unofficial visit back in March, Oscar Delp was also his host as well. And number 1, got to remember number 1, Kayla Downes, really special football player. I think Caleb Downes, you listen to Justice Haynes talk about him and Caleb a lot, and those 2 would certainly like to play together as well. Not going to call that a package deal. I'm just going to call it 2 5-star football players that want to play their college ball together and compete for 3 years together before they go play pro ball. Those are your top targets, but we've got a different kind of line of demarcation here that you guys are normally used to. What we do after our top targets is we used to do um, basically the others to consider. I thought, that's really not giving the people a really good look at what I'm kind of seeing on the playing field. So let's do this. There's another section that's not quite on the top 15 top targets, but folks that you guys should really pay attention to these names. Here's the list of those names. It's a little bit smaller. It makes it a little less bulky. CJ Allen, he was another official visitor to Georgia this weekend, had a very good time. He's got a lot of official visits set up in the month of June, and then he wants to make his decision on July the 9th. CJ Allen out of Lamar County in Barnesville. Plays three sports, very smart, very physical, very fast. Tyree Adams recently picked up his fourth star. He's out of Louisiana. Malik Benson, that's the JUCO prospect, the number one overall JUCO prospect in the country. He will take his official visit to Georgia on June the 24th. Georgia actually gets the last at bat and the last official visit before Malik Benson makes his college decision. Going down the list, Anthony Evans, he's in town this weekend. He's out of Converse, Texas. He is going to make his. He's got two official visits set right now. He's got two official visits set right now. He just visited Oklahoma this past weekend. Going down the list, we've got Jordan Big Baby Hall out of Florida. Really impressive defensive lineman that will give you a little bit of Jalen Carter vibes. I'm not trying to embellish that too much, but he will make you think a little bit of Jalen Carter. Grayson Pup Howard is a terrific linebacker out of Jacksonville, Florida. AJ Harris, he's now in that pay attention to list right there. I think Georgia really helped itself right there with AJ Harris and his recruitment. Be very interesting to see what Florida can do with their upcoming official visit there as well. Might end up being a Georgia-Florida tug of war there, and really with Florida, Corey Raymond, the former LSU defensive backs coach, is going to be very key in where AJ Harris winds up probably playing his college ball. Connor Liu, Kennesaw Mountain, going to be a center prospect for somebody. He's taking his official visit to Miami this weekend. He will take his official visit to Georgia later this month. Chris Peel, it says linebacker there. Folks, I know he's not a linebacker. He's like a 10-6, 10-7 defensive back. He was in Georgia out of Charlotte, North Carolina this past weekend on his official visit. Madden Sanker is another name to know in the state of Georgia, state champion wrestler. He was at Michigan State this past weekend. Jaden Wayne was at Michigan State this past weekend on an unofficial visit. And last but not least, in the paying attention to, I would say, sizzling category a little bit of guys that are not quite on others to consider, but not quite on the top targets list yet for a variety of reasons, maybe one reason or another. Raylen Wilson, Michigan commitment there. Love the chance to talk to him. Love the chance to write about him last week, about the story about him and his late father, Robert Wilson, who played for the Saints. He told them, I'm going to give you the recipe to be great at football, but you got to get in the kitchen. Others to consider, let's go through these really quickly. Olas Alinen out of Connecticut. He just took his official visit to Miami this past weekend. Chase Besantis just took his official visit to Texas A&M this past weekend. Troy Bowles will be in Athens this weekend for his official visit. I believe he's a number 44 overall prospect in the country. Kelby Collins, he was just in Gainesville this past weekend for his Florida official visit, going down the list. Daniel Harris, Xavier McLeod, Caden McDonald, Reuben Owens, Kelton Smith. Kelton Smith is another young man out of Columbus, Georgia, an interior offensive lineman. He's going to be in Athens this weekend for his official visit. So will Shamarad Umarov out of got some lots of background. He got some family background in Europe, in Turkey, and in Russia, that sort of area. His background, he's now at Denmark High School. In Alpharetta, Georgia. He's taking his official visit, and he was also at Michigan State this past weekend. So there's a lot of Mel Tucker to Athens vibes going on right now in the official visit world. And last but not least is a really talented receiver, Aiden Williams out of Mississippi. Georgia must restock the offensive tackle, wide receiver, running back, and outside linebacker positions. I feel those are the most important positions for Georgia. Folks, I'm going to give you something, and then we're going to file it away in the category of things you should not have to worry about for 1,000, Alex. Georgia has fallen to the number 10 class rank in the country. They're down from number 8. Other schools are getting commitments and pushing Georgia down. Georgia has 8 commitments, 5 on offense, 3 on defense, 4 in-state, 4 out-of-state, 4 in the top 100, 5 are in the top 150. 7 are in the SEC footprint, and 3 out of the 4 highest rated commitments in the class right now. They are on the offensive side of the ball. And since there's been some re-rankings lately by On3, 24/7 Sports, and also Rivals, 24/7 Sports has now integrated the On3 rankings into their algorithm for their 24/7 Sports composite rankings. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo and legalese, I guess, a little bit, as Brandon Adams would say. Basically, what that means is it has changed some of the rankings for some of the Georgia recruits, targets, and commits in the 2023 cycle. Pierce Sperling III, the Georgia legacy, the great tight end that's going to be playing a lot of wide receiver at the University of Georgia. He was told on his official visit to learn everything, to learn how to play receiver, learn how to play tight end. He is now the highest rated commitment at this time in the Georgia class. Since our last show, Georgia now has 224 offers, not 224. 2 as the graphic suggests. There are 2 offers been added since our last show. One of those was a wide receiver. One of those was a linebacker. If you look right there, look at the positions where Georgia is not offering a lot of guys. If you are a smart fan of Before the Hedges and that know how to read between the tea leaves, if you look at running backs, you look at tight ends, you look at safeties, you look at QBs, you look at interior offensive linemen, not a lot of offers have went out there because Georgia is probably going to concentrate all their efforts right there on the certain select few that have the offers and that are drawing their major interest at this time. Folks, before we get to some questions, I want to reward each and every one of you guys that came back for our part 2 of our show after our technical difficulties. We had our Raylen Wilson interview in the first part. Great camp taking place this Saturday at Kennesaw Mountain High School in Kennesaw, Georgia. We also we previewed this weekend's official visitors, last weekend's official visitors, unofficial visitors. We went through a recap. We tried to tell you guys what we're seeing differently that's happening with Georgia in this 2023 recruiting cycle. What's that answer? In short, in summation, they're trying to get more of their recruiting done before this season. I'm noticing that Georgia has given out an inordinate amount of official visits already. 3 in May, 13 last week, 11 more this week. That's 27 already. I think they will get to a lot more. I think they got 14 more scheduled, 13 more scheduled right now for the month of June as it is. Filling up. The NCAA only allows a program to have 56 official visits unless a coach has been fired and there's a new change in head coach, and then a school will get more because obviously the new head coach needs new official visits to try and rebuild a class or retain a class. Georgia is already using an inordinate amount of their official visits in the month of June and over the summer because they want to get their recruiting hay in the barn, so to speak, for the class of 2023. My interpretation of that is that's what rich and powerful programs do when Georgia is able to recruit from a position of strength. Got a few tweets, got a few pictures to show you guys right now. Kind of wrapping up the show while you get your questions in. Let me take a quick look. I think the first one I'm going to show you, this is what we talked about earlier with Janelle Aguero out of Massachusetts. He's taking his official visit to Georgia this weekend. Big visit for Georgia there. He's got a Final Four. Interesting that LSU did not make that Final Four. Miami, Ohio State, Florida, Georgia. Ohio State and Georgia have kind of been the heavyweights in there forever. Miami has came on strong a lot lately with the addition of former Georgia defensive backs coach Jamil Adai. He actually carried over a lot of that love and great relationship from his time at Georgia. That's given Miami a good shot at getting into his final thought process for the 5-star safety out of Massachusetts. Also, Florida's in there. A lot of that has to do with Kamari Wilson. You guys remember Kamari Wilson from the 2022 cycle, who was the number 1 safety for the longest time. Those guys are good friends. They played together at IMG Academy for years. Jonelle told me this week about him. He's like, always going to be his boy. Second thing I want to show you guys is another reminder. Raylen Wilson's camp. It's called Camp with the Champs, Kennesaw Mountain High School. That's on Saturday morning, June 11th. Also my wife's birthday that day. Raylen Wilson's got that camp. You guys should check it out if you got a youngster that wants to learn how to play the game the right way from some really good dudes. Dan Jackson, Dirty Dan Jackson, Nolan Smith, Brett Seither, Brock Bowers, Raylen Wilson, Gunnar Stockton. Just a really great group of young men going to teach football the Georgia way on Saturday. In Kennesaw, Jalen Hale, look at this picture right here. You've got Raymond Cottrell on the left, Arch Manning, that Arch Manning fellow from New Orleans center. And then on the right, you've got Jalen Hale out of Longview, Texas. Folks, Jalen Hale, been talking to him for a while. Actually wanted to be a welder a couple years ago. A welder. Got brilliant production. I think he's got like 60 touchdowns so far through his high school career. Now wants to go into real estate or business. Very sensible, very common sense, very logical. And Justice Haynes called Jalen Hale the funniest dude he's ever met. Justice really enjoyed the chance to meet and bond and link up with Jalen Hale this weekend. Take a look at this picture. This is TJ Shanahan Jr. and his family with Kirby Smart. That large human being on the left is Tim Shanahan, his dad. Really a big guy there. TJ Shanahan Sr., that would be right there. Timothy James. His name is Timothy James, abbreviating it to Tim, of course. You want to take picture time? Look at this ball right here. This is Pierce Sperling, number 8, catching a ball over the shoulder from Arch Manning. Also, we got another picture of Arch Manning and Justice Haynes taking a handoff from Arch Manning. Look at those clean white uniforms there. Your mileage will vary, Dog Nation fans, Dog Nation viewer, Dog Nation reader, about how you feel about the traditionalist side of that and how you feel about that all-white uniform. I'm going to tell you, it is universal. The players, the prospects love those uniforms. It adds something to where Georgia makes sure they win by 30 points on their official visits right now in the month of June. That's really what it's all about. And finally, look right here, Damon Wilson. Look at this neat little picture he's got here with Kirby Smart as well. Major unofficial visitor. Might come down in this month of all the official visitors in the month of June. It might be an unofficial visit from Damon Wilson, which looms large in the month of November, December, which could potentially finish out a very strong, robust Georgia recruiting class. Guys, let me hop back on and restream. Let me see if I can catch some questions. Philip Jordan Wales, Rhett Womack, Harry Leggy, man, you're back. Johnny Webster, thank you guys for coming back. Let me see. So a question from Willie Gray Jr. Willie, you always have good stuff. In my opinion, do I think that Georgia's handling NIL in whole? It seems like we're staying level and not paying a lot of money to one player, but spreading it out pretty well. Willie, what Georgia's doing with that is they want to not let the NIL stuff act as an inducement. I think it's pretty clear. There's examples of this last year with Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, and other players like that if you handle your business as a Georgia Bulldog, you get on the field, you play well, those NIL funds are going to be there. The main thing is taking care of your football career first, and Georgia is not trying to entice recruits with NIL monies on the front end because they don't feel that's the fundamentally sound way to recruit football players. Hopefully that answers your question, Willie. Good question. Love questions like that. It makes everybody think about that. Steve Rogers has an update on the College World Series. Oklahoma is smashing Texas. Kind of sounds like what happened there with I think those two schools met in the women's NCAA tennis championships as well. Let me see. Johnny Webster wants me to play some golf soon. We all want Jeff to play some golf soon, I think. Henry Carter has a comment about the all-white uniform. Steve Bryant, hello from Alexandria, Virginia. Eric DeVorsnay Sr., I think that number is going to be pretty close to that in terms of how many Georgia can sign. Willie Gray wants to see some silver britches. Everybody's talking about Arch Manning, of course. Barcelona King loves the all-white and the all-black and the all-red, and we should use all-gray. We need to upgrade to keep up with the younger generation. Barcelona King, that's a good comment. That's a good way to end things right now. Guys, we had part 2 before the hedges tonight. Great first part. We came back strong in the second half and went through our top targets, answered some questions, talked about a lot of things. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself on I like that. Earn your turn and dollars will holler. That's a really good way to look at that. PJ at PJW. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of Before the Hedges. I apologize for hitting the table on my veranda, but I also apologize for all these moths that are flying in my face right now with this big spotlight right there. Thanks, you guys, for hanging out with Dog Nation. It's been another great Wednesday night. Go get your groceries at your local Kroger. We will be back all over dognation.com. I'm Jeff Sintel. That's been your intel. Be well, be blessed, everybody out there, and we'll see everybody again on the pages of dognation.com.